Hello, my name is Erin Merrihew, and I'm here talking about how to set a boundary. Now, before I walk you through the 3 simple steps to set better boundaries, I want you to give yourself permission right here and now that you can set the boundaries you need whenever you need to. Many of us never receive this message early in our lives, and in fact, we have a lot of experiences that teach us otherwise, that maybe it's not okay to ask for the boundaries we need, or that people won't respect them even if we try to ask for them. So it's really important, before any other step, to remind yourself that it is absolutely okay and accessible to you to set the boundaries you need whenever you need them, and in fact, it's the kindest thing you could do for yourself and others. All right, now let's dive in with the 3 steps. So the first step is to recognize when you need a boundary. And resentment is going to be the telltale sign that a boundary has been crossed and you need a boundary. So I want you to get really familiar with the feeling of resentment. What thought patterns happen for you when you feel resentment? What body sensations? What knee-jerk behaviors do you tend to do? The better you acquaint yourself with the feeling of resentment and recognize it as it's happening, the faster you can catch the opportunities to set the boundaries you need. Now, once you recognize that you need a boundary, step 2 is to focus on the behavior you want rather than the behavior that you don't want. So when we recognize that a boundary has been crossed, in some ways the most natural thing is to point to the behavior we don't like and to talk about that behavior with the person we're interacting with. But what's challenging about this is that oftentimes people feel attacked when we do that. They don't have any sense of the behavior we actually want to see, and sometimes they feel that we're making them wrong in the process. And this is not a good way to get someone on your team around the boundary you need. So the solution is to focus on the behavior that would be most meaningful to you, and here's the real key. You have to include why that behavior would be meaningful to you. So not just the behavior you would love to see, but what deeper values it would support for you. What would it give you to have this boundary honored? Because that's what's really going to connect with the other person and help them partner with you to honor the boundary that you're asking for. The third and final step is to remove blame. Much easier said than done, but such a worthwhile step. Now, it's really common when we set a boundary to have some level of blame for the person that we need to set the boundary with. This is totally human, but it's very problematic if we don't catch it, because blame on the receiving end feels like an attack and is likely to stimulate defensiveness. And when defensiveness is present in an interaction, connection doesn't happen easily. So if we really want to have productive conversations around our boundaries, we need to make sure that we are not bringing blame into that interaction. My favorite coaching question for working with blame is, what would I have to feel right now if I let go of the blame? The reason I like this question is that hiding just underneath our blame is usually things like vulnerability, shame, some tender feelings that want our loving attention. But blame is this cloak that's on top that is actually just the discharge of pain. So if we can really focus in on what's underneath that urge to discharge our pain against other people and be present with those things in ourselves, we can take more responsibility for it, offer ourselves some compassion, and have a much healthier interaction around our boundary. So remember, you have unconditional permission to set the boundaries you need whenever you need them. Use resentment as your clue that a boundary is being crossed and that you need to look for a boundary to set. Focus on the behavior that you would love to see and why it matters to you, and share that in a vulnerable way, and you'll have a much better chance of getting the other person to partner with you in that conversation. And finally, notice if you are holding any blame toward the other person, and if you are, ask yourself, what do I need to feel underneath my blame? If you can take responsibility for those feelings and offer yourself compassion, you will create a much cleaner interaction with the other person and hopefully set up a boundary that both parties feel really good about. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy boundary setting and take care.